Just don't let him on his shooting position, and you'll be fine. Everything I say is based on my own opinions and experience. I'm not speaking for the public, and my feedback should be treated as such. You are watching Nico Evaluates. With 25 years of experience on Mega Man games, 7 years of doing the No Miss Buster Only challenge, and countless Snupster Races, as well as being the QA tester for Mega Man Unlimited, I'm here to tell you my honest opinion on different Mega Man games, so sit tight and learn. Hello people and welcome back to Nico Evaluates Mega Man. Let's go check some of the weapons out that we got from the bosses. Really do a little evaluation on those. So you can use the Guts arm here, get rid of these blocks, throw them, kill the bladers. It's a fun mechanic, I'll be honest. It's a pretty fun mechanic. And I like how the block blinks, indicating that you can pick it up. That's also a good indicator. So if you want to kill these with the Hyper Bomb, good luck. Yeah, that's the problem. You can't detonate it yourself. You have to anticipate where the enemies are gonna go. And as a result, you're never gonna use this weapon in this entire game. You might use it against Gutsman, but you could argue that killing Gutsman with the Hyper Bomb is actually harder than killing him with the Buster. And that's quite sad. You have a weapon that, like, look at this, there's no way I could use the bomb in this screen. Well, I could up here, but why the hell would I? Why the hell would I use the bomb up here? It's gonna take the whole evening. It takes 2 energy to use 1 bomb, so what the hell? Like, a bad weapon and make it use 2 energies. That's just... like, why? And now we are out of the bomb. We killed like 3 enemies. There's the Elec Beam. So much better. Fires in 3 directions. It's faster. Does more damage, technically. Of course the Hyper Bomb does a lot of damage as well, but when are you ever gonna hit anyone with it? So this weapon, I'm a believer. I do like and I do enjoy using it. Then we have the Ice Slasher, which again works just fine. Especially when you can freeze enemies and then kill them later. Like now they're frozen and then just kill them with other weapons. That's always fun. Rolling Color, not bad in certain situations. But it's often like, why would you use the Rolling Color when you can just use the Buster? It's not that much better. It kills some of the enemies in a single hit, but the reach is so bad. Why would you ever use this weapon? But as peculiar as this is, I would argue that Mega Man 1 only has about 4 usable weapons. Rolling Color, Ice Slasher, Elec Beam, and Fireman's Weapon. Even though Mega Man 1 only has like 4 really usable weapons, they're still better than what Mega Man 2 has to offer, really, if you think about it. Mega Man 2's weapons are all just fucking garbage. Mega Man 2 has 2 usable weapons, but we'll get to that later. So, these weapons are okay, but most of them... it's just more work to switch to a weapon than just use the Buster. Even some of the original Mega Man games are guilty of this, where they only want you to use the weapons in the actual boss fights. They don't want you to use them in the stages. They're not built that way. And that's really sad. The same goes for Mega Man 2. The stages really are not designed for the weapons. And that trend really started from Mega Man 3 and 4. That was when they started realizing, hey, maybe we can use these weapons better somehow. So that's really it what comes to the weapons. It's just a sad bunch of alright weapons. They're not good, but they're not super bad either. Definitely better than in Mega Man 2, that much I can tell you. And that's how you kill yourself, jumping too high. You wrap around the screen and you end up at the bottom and you crush yourself. Skill D. There we go. That's how you use the hyper bomb. Imagine doing this. Oh! What garbage. Also, did you know that in order to kill Cutman with the hyper bomb, you can't miss once? Just try that. It's one of the hardest things I've ever done. Because I've never done it. Felon has done it though. Go check out his channel. So that's what I can tell you about the weapons. We can discuss them more as we hit the Wily stages. So let's delve into the world of our controller not working at all. Gotta love Nestopia. Forgetting my inputs, I will eat your ass out. Alright, there we go. Let's go check out some of the physics, as I promised. There are some things in this game that got overlooked or they just didn't bother to fix. So let's demonstrate the guts blocks first. Bam, you can pick them from the ground and throw them. They will also stay on your head if you take a hit, which is pretty nice. And create some lag, but nothing too bad. A fun gimmick, but a shame that you can't, without cheat codes, pull the guts blocks from thin air, because it really makes the weapon so that you can only use it in certain spots, and it's kind of useless. There's only a handful of situations where you would actually use the super arm, which I call guts arm, because why not? Because when you say super arm, people think you're talking about the magnet beam, so it's kinda, the name's not the best deal there. But let's first check if we can, if I can show you what happens when you pick up weapon energy in this game, and what happens as a result. See if we can get some here, or even energy. There we go. So you pause a bit when you pick up those. So even if you don't have anything to feel on a weapon energy, you kind of pause when you pick it up. Let's see if we can showcase that. Of course, when we want to showcase that, they're not gonna drop weapon energies, just the laws of gaming. These motherfuckers. And the problem is that sometimes when you pick up energy near a ledge, you can accidentally fall down, because when you pick up energy, Mega Man kinda keeps walking, even if you're not pressing anything. So be very careful on picking up items near ledges, because you might just fall down without your own consent. See how they're not dropping any weapon energy now? That's maybe bladers don't drop weapon energy. I never considered that. But it seems that they don't, which is very weird. At least, I'm not sure about this game, but at least the later Mega Man games have a drop rate. And in Mega Man 5's case, the drop rate for 1-ups is way too high. You keep getting 1-ups, like 5 1-ups a stage, pretty much. So let's find an enemy that actually drops weapon energy. I didn't really think about that. If there are enemies in the game that never drop weapon energy, if that's so, that is very peculiar. Of course, the pause also happens in other Mega Man games when you pick up energies and such. But in this game, it happens every time. Doesn't matter if you're full or not. See that? That little pause, and that can fuck you up. Also, when you pick up weapon energy, for example, and if you're full, and if you fire the buster at the exact same time that you pick up the item, you actually fire twice, even if you just shot once. That's another thing that is quite strange. So I'm not sure why nothing is now dropping weapon energy. Maybe it really is based on enemies, because I'm not seeing any. I never considered that. Let's ask Shigroxen. Based on this, I really think that the bladers don't drop any weapon energy, which is quite strange. Like the Mets on Gutsman stage and the Crazy Races on Iceman stage always seem to drop weapon energies, but on Cutman stage, looks like nothing drops weapon energy. That's very strange. What about these? I think these do. That is peculiar, actually. There we go, like, look at that, like the, The screw dropped as a weapon energy. And there's the pause. See that pause there? Very strange. Strange mechanics. So if we... like there. So I only shot once. You can look at my gamepad there. I only shot once, but I got 3 shots out. So that's one problem with the picking up weapon energy if you're using the Buster. Doesn't really matter unless you're doing a no-miss challenge where missing shots will negate your run. So that's the only spot where I had a problem with it. But of course the game is really not meant to be played that way. So not a bad flaw. It just is there. I'm not I'm not sure if I demonstrated this. You can ice these flames and you can jump on them, which is kind of nice. This comes in handy in Wily 1, which we are gonna head to right now. So let's go check that stage out. To get to Wily, you either scroll through all of the bosses, keep pressing right, or you press left once on Cutman. Kind of strange. The layout is kind of wonky. But once you figure that out, no problem. Of course, on every game, we have the UFO scene with Wily. Let me put some pants on while this is going on. It's a nice cutscene, but takes a long time, you can't skip it. But then again, you can't skip them on most games at all, so... doesn't matter. Never gonna give you up, never gonna let you down, never gonna run around and desert you, never gonna make you cry, never gonna say goodbye, never gonna tell a lie and hurt you. We've known each other for so long. Your heart's been aching, but you're too shy to say it. Inside we both know what's been going on. We know the game and we're gonna play it. Never gonna give you up, never gonna let you down, never gonna run around and desert you, never gonna make you cry, never gonna say goodbye, never gonna tell a lie and hurt you. Alright, I had to do that. Every time. One of my favorite songs of any Mega Man game, for sure. Alright. Also, one of the most RNG heavy stages of the game, although I do like the stage. It's a fantastic design. For the most part. First thing you have is 3 big eyes. Of course, if you have the weapons, and if you have the skill, you can get past these. You can also magnet beam this, so whatever floats your boat. But it's not the best design. Why do you have 3 of these right at the beginning of the stage? If you're doing Buster only, you're gonna cry out of your asshole. But it's fine, if you play the game normally, it's fine. Also demonstrating you can use the Elec beam to get rid of guts blocks. I think that was probably, like one of the last things they did for the game. They're like, what if they run out of super arm? What if they wanted to use another weapon for it? So I think that's fine. Actually helps the player a lot. So there's 2 weapons that can get rid of blocks. That's fine. You can do this section with ice or without. Kinda like, this section is kinda dickish. Like, look at these jumps. Ridiculous, right? Why not have at least 2 spaces there to more easily make the jump? Why just 1? This is extremely cramped. But the reason is that they want you to use the ice slasher here. So like that. But then you run the risk of setting these up the wrong way, which will end up fucking you. So you have to go back unless you want to try and make the jump. So there. It's an okay design, but not. I would have probably not done it this way. Just add another space there. It's too cramped. Needless challenge in my opinion. And this makes you think you can make it, which we will actually find out now. I've never tried this jump. Alright, so you can make this, but look at this jump, it's ridiculous. If you just go here and you try, that's like, it's funny because I usually die here if I try this, and now I'm not. It's extremely precise though. Oh my god, my asshole puckers every time. And this jump as well. Ridiculous jumps for stuff like this. Of course you're going for the energy, understandable. But you can also do this. Oh, you can't. So, alright. So I was gonna fire the magnet beam there to make a little safety zone like that, but you can't even do that because the magnet beam stops at the block. So you can't even do that. Huh. Not a good design in my opinion, not a good design. No. Let's get our magnet beam back. There we go. Get the energy, which is hard as hell to get. There we go. For some reason, even with the flaws of this stage, I still like it. Here's another fuck you, like look at that. You have to wish for the best RNG, which is that one. If you don't get that RNG, you're gonna get hit. So if we reset the room, they can just come down like that, which is ridiculous. You should not put fleas on a spot like this if the fleas are random. Of course, if you know that this screen is gonna come, you're gonna equip the elec beam. Because that will protect you. Like that. But you have to know that screen is coming, so again, it's not a good design if you think about that. Also, I've never gotten that energy up there. That's also very cramped. If you wanna get that energy, you have to do some dickery. Many questionable designs on this stage, for sure. But I can't help it, I still like the stage. Because if you look at the Wily stages on Mega Man 2, you'll understand why this is pretty good. Wily stages on Mega Man 2 are the worst Wily stages of pretty much any Mega Man game I've ever seen. But again, the RNG continues down here. Good thing is you don't have to let go of the ladder immediately, but you can't also go back up, you just drop down. If you don't have the magnet beam, you're screwed. You can't beat this stage without the magnet beam, so if you never got it on Elecman stage, your game is done. Your game is literally done. So you have to reset the game and try again from the beginning, which is kinda... Luckily they never did this mistake again either. Some fan games also, or ROM hacks I should say, fix this problem by adding the magnet beam on the Wily stages as well, so if you never got it you can still get it. But I'll show you where you can't advance if you never picked it up. Of course you can use it here as well. This section can be done completely without, if you're a masochist. Or you just hope for the best RNG, or if you're doing Buster only. But here... Oh, how do I go up if I don't have the magnet beam? You can't. There's nothing you can do about it. Funnily enough, you can make this section with 2 magnet beams. There we go. So, this screen is only passable with the magnet beam. Again, what a shitty design. But I still can't help but like this stage. It's so... It has so many things going on with it. It makes you use different weapons. As we can see, we used 4 weapons. Well, 3 weapons and a utility on this stage alone. You could use more if you want. But it shows you what the game designers were going after. They want you to use different weapons and different spots. And that is very interesting considering it's the first game ever made. Because one problem Capcom made essentially was that they made a bunch of weapons that are only good for the bosses. They didn't think about using them on the stages, but on the first game here, they wanted you to use the weapons on the stages, which I like. First rendition of Yellow Devil. A lot of people hate these. You know, they're not casual player friendly. You have to learn this. You have to learn the pattern. There's nothing more to it. You literally have to know how the pattern works in order to dodge it. So this boss design is only based on you learning by dying and taking damage. I can only dodge these because I've practiced them so much. It's nothing else. If this was the first time I ever got to this boss, I would not know how to dodge this. I would have to pay attention and take damage, die, 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 take damage, die, and then I would be like, alright, now I got this. But kind of a dick move, and once I'm talking again I can't pay attention. But again, I'm repeating myself, not a good design. It's a fun boss to battle, don't get me wrong, it's a fun boss. It's a cool design. But the design itself fails at teaching you anything. It's just a big middle finger, essentially. Another thing is, if you're doing this buster only, one of his eyes are so high. Basically, he has 3 eye heights. One of them is so high you can't reach it with the buster. And even the Elec beam, it can completely go around the eye sometimes, because it like twirls like that, so it can completely miss the eye. So the RNG is very heavy on this stage. One of the most RNG heavy stages in the entire game surely is this one. So I'm basically using the weakness, but let's see if when we use the buster, how the fight changes. Still does, I think, 2 damage, like there. I can't reach that. So I just have to wait for another pass. Of course, almost everyone is gonna have Elec Beam for this fight, because it's the first Wily stage. There we go, you can only hit it once as well. So it has iframes, but it's not showing the iframes, which again is quite strange. I'm not sure why. But it is advisable using the Elec Beam here. You can also use whatever weapon you want if you are having fun with it. Of course, the Hyper Bomb can't hit it because you can't detonate it, and it doesn't reach the eye with the explosion. But yeah, not a fan of the design. Not a fan of Yellow Devils in general, or Black Devils, whatever you want to call them. They're just a bunch of fuck you bosses that want you to feel bad. But once you kill them though, once you figure them out, you feel pretty good about yourself. But again, the teaching element not there. Mediocre bosses, these Black Devils, not a fan. But nothing I would cry over about. It's not too hard of a pattern once you figure it out, but I would probably give the blocks more frames, so you would see what block is gonna fly out. Because now you just don't. There's not enough time. So I would have given the blocks more time when they detach, so you could actually react to it. Because on that fight there's nothing to react to, you just have to know. Okay, Wily 2. Tricky blader designs here. I'm okay with it. By now you should be familiar how bladers work. Again, a bit of a stretch here. You're repeating the same thing over and over. And this I don't agree with. There are spots here that you fall through, but there's no way to know. On later games they added a different ground texture, so you would know when you drop down, but here there's nothing. So you just broop, you drop down. And suddenly cut, man. So this is basically, in Mega Man 1 they divided the stages and the refights on different spots on the game, so you're not dropping down to a teleporter design. So you're not dropping down to a teleport system room, but you're essentially fighting these robot masters. There's gaps in between, and you're doing the stages, and then you're fighting a boss, you're doing the stage a bit more, you're fighting another boss. But I'm not sure why they added 4 of the bosses at the last stage and 2 here. I'm not sure why that decision was made like that. But then again, who am I to complain? It's not my game. And again, you drop through the ground here. And also one thing that is missing from that Cutman fight is the blocks. So you can't even use Cutman's weakness. There's no guts blocks. And here they want you to use your brain. How to get rid of this screw bomber. Use the Elec Beam, for example. Again, gotta be careful when picking up that health, because you can just fall down. Because, like I told you previously, if you just keep walking and take the energy, you can't stop. Mega Man still runs, so you could drop down. Another instance here where you drop down the pit. So using the magnet beam is advisable, but you can't switch your weapon when you have the magnet beam up, so you essentially use the magnet beam to fill it up, because you can't pause. Unless you know where the gap is, you can jump over it and take the energies, but what a fucking lousy design there as well. Ilekman, we know that he stops at a certain spot on the ground, and on that spot we rinse and repeat the strategy that we learned. But if you didn't know that, this would be another RNG thing for you. So if you killed Ilekman on the if you killed Ilekman on Ilekman's stage, and yet you still don't know how he works, you'll just end up using the rolling cutter here, and you're like trying your best to avoid him, because you have no idea how he still works. Most people don't. And that is sad that the Robot Master designs are just ass. We can feel stuff here. We don't really have to, but fun regardless. So basically, like a usual Mega Man game, they want you to learn from the stages. Oh god. So there you saw how I wasn't pressing anything on the D-pad and I still kept walking. You can cancel that by jumping, so otherwise I would have died. So that's one way to cancel that, you jump. But they want you to realize how much you've learned from the Robot Master stages by putting the same enemies on the Wily stages, which became a staple on the later games as well. I do like this stage. It's a fun stage to do. I'm not sure if it's not the most well-designed one, of course. But again, first Mega Man game. Accept some things as you go. These rooms are basically you just using the elec beam to get rid of these, or the firestorm, which is kind of finicky. Bam. So it's just really they want you to use your weapons here. Like this spot, extremely fun to use it here. And there's some free weapon energy. Love the music, absolutely fantastic. I think it's too underrated in my opinion, this music here. But this room is kind of dumb, because you just drop down here, you don't know what to expect. So you'll end up taking a bunch of damage if you don't have your weapons ready. So, again, like I've talked about in the fan games, don't have you instantly taking damage when you go into a new room. You don't have the reflexes for that. It's not a good design. Let's go kill ourselves at the boss so I can properly tell you how it works. And of course, when you die, this is your checkpoint. Like holy hell. What a lousy checkpoint here. This game does not have good checkpoints. Not at all. Alright. So, in my Case Mega Man episode, I did go over how this guy works. So I'll show a snippet of that so you get the idea of it. So check this out. The clone can either be dealt completely from the left side, jumping over his shots. However, using the quicker method is a tad more complex. Knowing the spots where he will stop and shoot plays a huge part in the fight. The fight starts by letting him fire first and then attacking. The idea is not to give the clone a chance to get to the rest of his shooting positions. As a result of luck, he might do so many front hops that he actually lands on one of the shooting positions. In such case, it is wise to fall back and let him cycle out the pattern once, then get him locked again and start the prevention process from the beginning. So let's see if my explanation made any sense to you if you're watching this. He's trying to get to his second shooting position now, but I'm preventing him. But if he gets too close, I'm gonna retreat and cycle him out. And he is, so... There we go. So you have to know where he is gonna shoot. I'm gonna do it again because he's making too many front hops. There we go. So that's how you cycle. You cycle his pattern once, like over, and just keep shooting him. So Nice! So basically, Copy Robot is essentially just like Elecman. He shoots at certain spots on the ground. Never does anything different. If you just keep jumping here, you can jump forever. So he always does the same thing. Just like Elecman. He has the partial AI of Elecman. Only difference is when you shoot, he jumps either forwards or backwards. And that is the RNG portion of this fight. You have to wish that he keeps jumping back. Because you want to prevent him from getting to his shooting position. So let's try that now. There. And now you have to hope that he keeps jumping back. Because if he reaches there, he will shoot. There we go. Hope he jumps back. Unless you miss, that's also one thing that can go wrong here. So the only problem that this fight has is if he keeps front hopping. You want him to back hop at all times, but you can just cycle him through if he front hops too much. There we go. So you can kinda learn this way. Just don't let him on his shooting position, and you'll be fine. Cycle that again. If he gets too close, you just cycle it out. So what a bullshit pattern again. He shares the AI of Elecman, and you know how I feel about that, so there's not really much I can talk about this. Except that the front and back hops are quite strange. Lousy coding. Nothing else. Again, let's see what happens if you just try to kill him without knowing all this stuff. Again, the average player, even if you know the weakness, the average player is gonna do this. Okay, I know his weakness is Firestorm, so let's spam him before he does us. Getting a bit lucky here. Man, he's rough. Oh my god. How am I ever gonna beat him? I need full health. Oh man. Oh man, that's difficult. And you know what? I actually found this boss the most difficult boss in the game when I was a kid. Because I could not beat him, I didn't know how he worked. So I kept dying on him, and I never beat Mega Man 1 as a kid, but I did beat Mega Man 4 when I was just 4 years old. But when I was, I think 5 or 6 when I got this game, I could not beat this boss. Like, I could not. That's because I didn't know how he worked. Only as a teenager I think I beat this by luck. I didn't know this. There was no way for me to know he worked like this. Even if you study this, it's not easy. Kinda strange. Of course you can do the same strategy with the weakness. Works as well. If not even better, because it deals more damage. So that's how you deal with this boss, and what a crappy design. Oh well. First Mega Man game ever. Right? If you enjoyed this, leave a like. If you didn't, if you disagree with me, leave a dislike. We'll be back. Hope you enjoyed.